Hello and good morning. You are tuning into another episode of The Wunderkind Show. And today's topic, because I know a lot of people's like, well, the Ravens didn't play and the Lakers won and, Giannis is dominating. So what are you really going to talk about? I'll tell you what I'm going to talk about. Josh Allen. Listen. and it has something to do with the Ravens, and I'm going to tell you what it is. Because last night, this is what I'm trying to tell everybody, what y'all seem to understand as the Raven flock, right? Josh Allen attempted 25 passes yesterday. 25. He had 13 completions. That's barely 50%, right? Okay. He had 2 interceptions, which should have been about 5 interceptions. 2 touchdowns, 218 yards. He had 49 yards on the ground, which is good for 6 attempts. And they won 27-17. Now, I don't know how many of you watched the game, but they were up handsomely in the first half. It was like 21 points, 21-7, or I believe it was, in the first quarter, in the first half. In the first half. What I mean by that is their defense held the lead. That's what a defense that is considered a good defense does. And I promise you, the allocation of funds is not heavily weighted towards their defense. It's heavily weighted towards their offense. I want all of y'all to understand that. But yet their defense is able to hold the line. You get where I'm getting with this? Because I keep trying to tell people, but people don't seem to understand this. Quarterbacks will have bad games. Even with all-star casts, they can have bad games. And it's up to the teammates, especially if they get a lead, to hold this lead if this quarterback is struggling or the offense is struggling. And what I mean by offense and quarterback, and I separate the two, is because sometimes fumbles, drop passes, tipped passes, all those things, missed blocking assignments, it's not just the quarterback. Josh Allen yesterday played horrible. It really looked like it could have been a 5-interception, 6-interception game. The first half, it was like, oh my God, like, man, he's just making throw after throw, play after play. And as soon as that second half started, Mina Kimes actually reported and said, hey, Josh Allen is dressed up as 2018 Josh Allen. Because a lot of y'all forget. I keep trying to tell people, a lot of y'all forget what he was. And all he did was get Stephon Diggs and everything changed. Listen, weapons matter. Team performance is based on the team, not solely on the quarterback. And I try to get this through so many Raven flocks' heads because they don't understand that concept. The conceptual notion that every loss usually is laid at the feet of Lamar Jackson is hysterical to me. I want you to understand this. We have been up in every single game this year. That means every single game we've been up by double digits, 10 or more points. Every single game. Everyone. Going to the fourth quarter. And our defense has yet, I don't even care. Like, people's like, oh, but, the offense should do more. What did Buffalo's defense do yesterday? You see where I'm getting with this? If you're going to allocate all of your funds to the defensive side of the ball, then they have to play like they are the most expensive unit in the NFL. Because I believe that they are either second or third most expensive defenses in the NFL. And they're playing like some of the worst. This notion where, they played good for 3 quarters and they just give it up in the fourth. I don't want to hear that excuse. The money's going to that side of the ball. And to make it worse, when the offense is clicking and builds up crazy leads, they can give up 20 points in the fourth. We've seen it. Oh, that was an aberration. Another game, they gave up 17 in the fourth. I want you to understand this. If you score 17 points in one half of football and score 17 points in another half of football, you'd be the highest scoring offense in the league, bar none. I want you to understand that. That's crazy, right? You'd be like, so 2 touchdowns and a field goal each half would make you the highest scoring football team in the league easily. They give up those points in the fourth. Not the third, not the second, not the first. The fourth. But the offense needs to do more. No, the defense needs to hold. And there's another point I wanted to make with this. You know what I mean? Because it goes back to what I was saying, even with weapons and weapons matter. Stephon Diggs was absolutely wide open so many times yesterday. So many times. And because now he's so open, you have to start shifting coverage so other people are open. Josh Allen was just missing them. Missing them badly. No one will ever say that he's not a quarterback. No one will ever say anything like, he should switch positions. He runs too much. That's part of it. When Josh Allen, out of all the quarterbacks in the league, I think the only person that runs, if you take Lamar Jackson out of it, I think he runs the most. Which is crazy to think, right? It's not even Jalen Hurts. I believe it's him. Jalen Hurts leads in rushing touchdowns for quarterbacks, but not rushing yards. I believe that's Josh Allen's over him. But you see where I'm coming from with this? And he has amazing weapons. I get frustrated talking about some of this stuff because they act like I'm lying. Think about this real quick. Tua, who they're saying now should be an MVP candidate, right? Without Tua, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle combined for 300 receiving yards. 300. Teddy Bridgewater throwing them the ball. 300. Weapons, good players, and great players matter. They matter. Not just defensively, like the Ravens would tell you so, but offensively. Do you know what it does when you have players like at that caliber? It gives the quarterback a larger margin of error. You get it? You get how that works? So let's say, for the sake of argument, right? If the quarterback throws 2 picks, the team still holds on to the lead. I want you to remember this in the playoffs. Tom Brady threw the year, I believe they won the title. He threw 3 interceptions consecutively. So that means one after the other, and after the other, and after the other. And you know what the defense did? It held. Did anybody go on there and be like, it's Tom Brady's fault, bro? You know what I'm saying? He got to play better or nothing like that. Nope, it's mistakes. We're a team. If he's struggling, we got to pick up the slack because usually he's the one delivering. You see that mindset? If he's usually delivering, he's allowed to have some off games. Everyone's going to be like, it's Tom Brady, though. He got mad titles. Then what's your excuse for Josh Allen? Hey! What titles does he have? What individual accolades does he have? He doesn't have any, does he? No. So what you're doing is you're playing favoritism. That's what you're doing. And you're lying to yourself. Bro, think about this real quick. When you look at it from a macro perspective, right? When you have a team that is deficient offensively and is leaning on not only the arm but the legs talent of one individual player, then if that individual player has has an off game, the whole team crumbles. It's a house of cards. That's frustrating. And to make it worse, I'm gonna make it real worse. I was begging for these players. I had other Raven fans, telling me I was stupid to believe that those players were worth that money. That Miami was stupid for giving Tyreek Hill that deal. That Philly was stupid for giving a quarterback that they perceived couldn't throw a receiver like A.J. Brown. Are they still stupid to you? No. But a lot of them that have all said it now are going back between the tweets, tweet, and erasing what they've said. Listen, it's not a hard concept. Great players make it easier to win. The only exception to the rule are the Chargers and Raiders. And mind you, they are the exception to the rule, not the rule itself. I want to remind you, the Chargers had a season. They had a season where literally they were number one in offense, number one in defense, and they didn't make the playoffs. Imagine. What do you even tell a team like that? Hey, offense, you got to be better. We're the best offense in the league. True. Defense, you got to be better. We're the best defense in the league. That's fact. Yo, how are we losing? Like, how do you lose? But that's what I'm saying. They're the exception to the rule. The Raiders have crazy amount of talent on that team. Tight end, top 5 tight end. Top 3 wide receiver, number 1 slot receiver, and a top 10 back. And they still can't put it together. This is what I try to tell people all the time. Like, there are exceptions to the rules, but that's not the rule itself. Right? When you look at Baltimore and the way it's constructed, we do have players. I'm not saying our players are garbage or anything like that, but adding a solidified weapon to those players takes your team to another level. That's not conjecture. That's fact. There's too much proof of it this year to dispute it. How does Aaron Rodgers look without Devontae Adams? You took away his number 1 receiver. How does he look? See, you have a good point. Okay, whatever. Let's throw that one out there. Y'all said Jalen Hurts couldn't play. Y'all said he was a glorified fullback. How'd you look this year? What did they do different? I want to ask you guys, what did they do different? They gave him a number 1 draft pick at wide receiver, the best receiver in the draft. Then they went out and got him a literal yak monster in A.J. Brown. Well, how'd you look this year? Cat got your tongue? Huh? You don't know? Huh? You're going to act like you don't know what I'm saying? Huh? Okay, fine. That's just one. How does the Miami look with Tyreek? For the people that said Tyreek, right, would miss Mahomes, he's on pace for 2,000 yards receiving, even with Tua being out of the game with that concussion. God bless him. Hopefully he gets better. He has gotten better, but hopefully he doesn't, scar him in the future and stuff like that. Teddy Bridgewater throwing him the ball. The man was still putting up like 170 a game. That's who Patrick Mahomes got to work with for like 5 years. I want y'all to understand where I'm coming from. So now Tua's looking like, oh man, dang. Look at the 49ers, right? They went out and got Christian McCaffrey, and they already have an all-star squad of talent. They got Ayuk, they got Debo, they got Kittle. They got great players. They said, we want another one. Christian McCaffrey goes out there and throws for a touchdown, 35 yards, rushes for 90-something yards, and gets another touchdown on the ground, and receives about 60 yards on the ground for another touchdown. So he accounted for 3 touchdowns. He did a triple crown. The only thing he didn't do is do a defensive touchdown and a special teams touchdown. And God forbid if he ever did. Like, bruh, like special players make special difference. That shouldn't be an argument. And listen, it baffles me that Raven fans always want it to be the toughest road possible for them to be happy or to think that's the only way to success. It doesn't work that way. The easier you could do something is the easier it is to replicate it. Do you know why we had automobile lines? What made Ford so, you know what I'm saying, the company it is? Because they manufactured cars in such a way that's never been done before, the assembly line, right? That allowed them to put out a lot of cars efficiently. It was the easiest way to do it. So they're able to do it efficiently. And less mistakes were made. And it could become, you know what I'm saying, reliable. That's what great players allow the team to do. Be reliable in certain sections. When you hear players say they outplay the scheme, that's because sometimes coaches call bad calls. But the great players make up for the bad call. How many times have you seen a sack master? Oh crap, this guy countered perfectly with a run play, right? He spins off, he bit on it and makes the tackle. He's the shoestring tackle that stopped that guy from going to 50 yards. Because it was the wrong call, right? But because he's an amazing player, he makes the play. How many times have you seen, and this is even on Andy Reid. Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy has called a bad call multiple times. And Patrick will be like, he'll just make something happen out of nothing to save the play. And it works both ways. Sometimes the player makes a bad read on a great play that was designed, and they're like, my bad, coach. It happens both ways. But what I'm saying is great players maximize the coach's wishes on the field. That's just the way it works. They make that margin of error so much more wide. Listen, and it's not like, as Raven fans, we have so much going against us. Our defense be playing bad in the secondary, right? What's it called? We're injury. We don't get calls at all, right? And we don't have the requisite weapons to just be absolutely explosive. For whatever, you have a number one in Bateman. He's injured. He's been injured a lot. He hasn't been able to stay on the field. So injuries have not allowed him to be that number one receiver. How good would this team be if you had A.J. Brown, Bateman, and Duve? How good would this team be if you had Tyreek Hill, Bateman, and Duve? How good would this team be if you had Devontae, Bateman, and Duve? How good would this team be if you had Debo, Bateman, and Duve? You see what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't have to always be we have to do it the hard way for it to be the Raven way. No. For some of y'all that don't know, the Raven, meaning the crow, is one of the most intelligent species in the animal kingdom. For some of y'all that didn't know that, right? Everything that they do is to ease themselves on burden so they can get food and other things. Like sometimes they'll scavenge, sometimes they'll pick on something weak, all because it's the easier way so that they can have a more elongated success rate at survival. That's just the way it goes. That's the mascot of the team. Why do y'all want everything the hard way? And this is what frustrates me with our front office, because they're like, but if you do that, you can't have picks. Philly has picks for days. But if you do that, you won't have any money. Philly has money. Like, oh my God, Bills have money. Kansas City somehow still finding money. So what's your excuse? Seriously. That means that you're not manipulating the cap properly, so you're doing a poor job in that. You haven't hit in the draft, really. You've been doing a poor job with that. And then team construction, you've done a poor job with that. You drafted an injured player to fill in for an injured player. And your minds was, when they all come back, we'll be good. Don't the first games of the season matter? That's what you're pretty much playing Russian roulette with. With games, you're like, well, we could forfeit. Even if we lose, we could forfeit a couple games and still. That's how they're thinking. And they're also thinking we got Lamar Jackson. He'll cover up all of our faults until we get healthy. You see why I get so frustrated, because when you watch the Bills play yesterday, Josh Allen started off great. He built a lead, and then he started playing like hot garbage. And nobody questioned his quarterback acumen. Nobody questioned his position on the team. Nobody questioned if he was worth the money that the team paid him. Nobody was on him saying he has to do more. None of that. Oh, okay, yeah, he had a bad half. It happens. It happens. You see how much grace is afforded him? He's not an MVP. He's never led the league in passing touchdowns. But you see how much grace is afforded to him. We need to start affording Lamar Jackson some more grace. Because right now, if he continues on the pace he's on, he's going to throw for 4,000 yards and rush for well over 1,000. I don't understand how that's not MVP. That's MVP. That's MVP. We have to do better jobs as fans, because we're not holding the team accountable for their poor or lack of team construction. There's been too many examples, especially this year, that you can't even argue with it, because there's quarterback play that y'all have said, oh, they can't play good. Tua's not that guy. They tanking for somebody else. Jalen Hurts ain't that guy. They're gonna do it for somebody else. All they did, I want to remind you, all they did was give them a number one receiver to add with their young receivers. And they look like geniuses. They look like Einsteins. For common sense. And I want to say this too. Us as the fans have been correct. For the most part, we've been correct. When we said, hey, we got to, share the ball a little more, get Duvin and stuff, you know what they were doing? Nah. We're going to run this ball. What happened when we gave Duve more touches? All right, we got to move the pocket sometimes. Put Lamar in the center a little more. What happened when they did it? We need to stop blitzing all the time. Zero blitz on every other defensive play. What happened when we didn't do that? You see what I'm saying? Like, we've been right for the most part. So if we're not being paid millions of dollars to do this, how bad are you at doing it that is being paid to do it and then getting protected for the bad job that you're doing? Now, look, I'm not saying you can't clean up your mess. I'm not saying that we're not a Super Bowl contention. With Lamar Jackson, anything is possible. Anything. Because he's that dynamic of a player. He affects the game more than any other player in the entire league. But you're asking him to do it too much. You're expecting him to do it every game, when it should be something that he only has to do it probably 4 or 5 times in the entire season. You get where I'm coming from? Because other people are carrying the weight. You're saying, no, you have to be spectacular 17 out of 17 games. And when you're not worth the money. That's asinine. Think about this. If Patrick Mahomes played perfect every game, he would throw for 5,500 to 6,000 yards a year. If Josh Allen played perfect, he would throw for 5,000 to 5,500 yards a year, with about 800 to 900 rushing yards. But they're not doing that, are they? No, because every quarterback, no matter how talented, no matter how gifted, no matter how disciplined, no matter how much they're surrounded by talent, will have bad games. The only difference is that they're still respected even during thus bad games. Lamar Jackson is completely dismissed, made fun of, legacy challenged, if he has a bad game. And then you guys feel even more warranted to act that way, right? Just because you say this is the reason why we don't want to give him the money. Oh, we're happy we didn't pay him. No. No. Lamar Jackson is the present and the future of this team. And I want you to understand something. He's doing what he's doing without the weapons of the other guys. Think about it. Tua wasn't considered anywhere near a top 10 quarterback. Neither was Jalen. They're top 5 this year. Josh Allen wasn't considered a top 10 quarterback until he got Stephon Diggs. And since he's been a top 3 quarterback since. Common sense matters, guys. Common sense matters. And look, that's another episode of the Wunderkind Show. Look, thank you for tuning in. You could be anywhere else in the world, but you're taking time out and you're here with me. And I'll always say this every episode. I do appreciate that. Please remember to like and subscribe. Please remember to hit the notification bell and go Ravens, right? Let's go get this championship. And the Lakers finally won one. Yo, oh my God, they finally got one. They were celebrating like they won a title. Like, yes, we gotta win. Yo, I was like, dang, they down bad. But hey, yo, once again, I'm out of here. Thank you for showing up. I gotta go, so that means you gotta go now too. So this is another episode of the Wunderkind Show, and I'm saying you have a great day, and y'all know Nitro's slogan. Peace. And I am out. Yeah.